All right, what's good, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are back. I'm going to do a prediction video for a couple of the upcoming fights this weekend. All right, we have a few cards. If you are looking for some boxing to watch this weekend, even though we don't have any major fights this weekend, we got a few cards that's going down. I'll just give you the rundown. So Dan Aziz against Joshua Buati has been canceled. That fight has been canceled, but the undercard is still going on. It's going to be in Sky Sports if you're out in the UK. And if you are here in the States, you'll be able to see it on Peacock. I believe this is Peacock's first card broadcast in boxing. They just recently did a deal with Boxer. So if you want to watch the fight, if you want to watch the undercard, it's going to be available on Peacock here in America. All right. Also, we got Jorge Linares against Jack Catterall. That is going to be on DAZN. That is a matchroom fight. That's going to be an early afternoon fight. All right. So based on UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern for the main card. And I believe 5 p.m. Eastern for the main event. All right. Also, we got Alexis Rocha is going to be facing off against Giovanni Santillan. And that's going to be on DAZN as well. That's a Golden Boy promotions card. And that's going to be later in the evening on DAZN. All right. So if you're looking for boxing to watch, can't promise you that I'm going to do live commentary this weekend. But if I can, and if I'm home, if I get back home, I will jump on and, go live and you'll see me here. All right. Again, no major fights, but if you're looking for boxing, these are the fights to watch. All right. All right. Let's start out with Giovanni Santillan against Alexis Rocha. Okay, I was able to look up Santillan, and he is a southpaw fighter. All right, southpaw fighter. I was able to check out a few of his older fights. I went back and watched the Antonio DeMarco fight specifically because Alexis Rocha is a southpaw as well. And I wanted to see, how he would look against a guy that has a similar style as him. Now, Antonio DeMarco, I was even surprised at because I didn't see this fight. All right, this was on ESPN Top Rank. I didn't see this fight, but I was actually surprised that this fight was back in 2020. I was surprised to see DeMarco was still boxing at that point. I had no idea. DeMarco has been around for a long time, former champion, fought some of the best guys back in the day. And, I was able to, see this fight, and it was a very, very competitive fight. And I think, depending on the judges, it could have leaned towards DeMarco. All right, but Santillan, not the biggest puncher, but it's a very aggressive fighter. All right, come forward fighter, throws. When he has a good rhythm, he's throwing a lot of punches. He likes to stay in the pocket. He likes to turn into a dogfight. Not a guy that you're going to see him popping jabs from the outside and controlling distance and moving laterally. He's more of a guy that's going to come in. He's going to dig to the body. He's going to throw combinations. He's going to turn into a dogfight. And he's going to try to beat you off just volume and just outworking you, Again, not the biggest puncher, respectable power, but not the biggest puncher. He hasn't really fought any of the best fighters. All right, but he's undefeated. I think he's 31 wins with 0 losses, 16 knockouts, 30 years old, southpaw, like I said, and pretty experienced, but hasn't had a name yet. This is going to be his biggest challenge in his career. All right. And then you got Alexis Rocha, who has been a top 10 welterweight, right there on the border of the top 10 welterweight in the division for quite some time. You might have seen him in there against Rashidi Ellis, where he took his first loss. That was his big step up. I think that was both of their big step up fights. And he also fought, what's this guy's name? Funny guy. Let me go to his box record real quick. Blair Cobbs. He beat Blair Cobbs, stopped him. Blair Cobbs was undefeated at that time. He was doing a lot of talking against some of the top welterweights, but he was actually stopped by Alexis Rocha. All right. And since then, Rocha has been, got to give him credit. He hasn't fought some of the best fighters in his recent fight. He's coming off a good winning streak, but he hasn't fought some of the best fighters at 147. The guys that we really want to see him face, he hasn't fought him, but I have to give him credit because he's been active. He's fought This is going to be his third fight this year. He fought 3 times last year. Ever since the pandemic, he's been pretty active. So he's not fighting the best guys, but he's getting better by fighting, just being active. So I got to give him credit. I don't think he's better than the Virgil Ortiz's of the world, or Jerron Boots Ennis, or even the Stan Jonas's. I don't think he's better than those guys, but he is being a lot more active. He's probably had more fights in the past few years than all of those 3 guys combined. You know what I mean? Ortiz, obviously, because he's been injured. He's had a lot of health issues over the past couple of years. But Alexis Rocha is legit, you know. And when I look at this fight itself, Alexis he's a mixed bag. He can do whatever he wants here, you know. Looking at the DeMarco fight, I think that he's going to bring some similarities in that style, and he's going to use the range. You know, he's going to work behind a jab, control distance, move laterally. He can do that. But he can fight in a dogfight too. He can be the aggressor. We saw that in the Rashidi Ellis fight. Even though he lost that fight, it was a competitive fight. And you can fight, you know, aggressive like the way he did against Blair Cobbs, and walk him down. And he could do whatever he wants. He can give you a war, or he can box and fight off the back foot. So I like his chances of winning. As far as whether it's going to be a decision win or like a stoppage, I think that's the hardest part when it comes to making this prediction, because Santillan, I haven't seen him get stopped. I don't know. I mean, he's undefeated. I don't know if he's ever been knocked down. He looks pretty durable. Again, he's aggressive. He's probably going to be the bull in this fight. He's going to be coming forward. But I don't know how tough he is. And even though Alexis Rocha has power, I don't think he is like, you know, a super big puncher. You know what I mean? He can coast and win this easy on the cards. Or he can invite Santillan into a dogfight and just try to get him out of there. It really depends on what he wants to do. You know, but I honestly believe that if he chooses to just box and mix it up from time to time, which I think is the smartest way to go here, he can definitely win a decision, a wide decision at that, you know. But I think going into this fight, we're going to see that. But I think there's going to be moments and points in this fight where he's going to turn into a dog fight. He's going to sit in a pocket and he's going to bang with Santillan. And either way, I think he's going to be winning. I think he's the better defensive fighter. He's a more proven fighter. I think he's the bigger puncher. I think he can fight either style. So he's more versatile here. He's more gifted. He's probably the bigger puncher. He's the most proven. He's the better experienced fighter. And he's been extremely active. And I think that he has all the tools and ingredients to win here. I do think Santillan is better than who Rocha has faced in the past, you know, several 6-7 fights. Maybe on the exception of Blair Cobbs, he's probably better than the rest of these guys that Rocha has faced. So I can see it definitely going to a decision. But you know, as far as putting money, it's where you want to go with this one. I'm expecting a very late stoppage or decision win. You can really go either way with that. You know, I think Rocha is going to come out boxing, fighting a little bit on the back foot, just measuring him with the jab and timing him with the correct shots from the outside, and just outworking him, just outboxing him. You know, and then at some point, if he wants to step on the gas, he could and bang with him and try to get a stoppage. But it really depends on what he wants to do. You know, it's going to be hard if you're betting and you're going for a KO, because we're going to get a KO against a guy that's never been stopped, and I don't even know if he's ever been down. But Santillan is a pretty tough dude from what I've seen, and but I have Alexis Rocha's winning this fight. But it should be a good fight because of Santillan's aggressiveness. All right, so I have him winning, but I'm thinking more of a late stoppage or a decision win, clear decision win for Alexis Rocha, and a good fight. All right. As far as the other fight, Jorge Linares is going to be facing against Jack Catterall. And look, man, I did a little film study, went back, rewatched some of the older fights that I've seen so many times. I've done so much work when it comes to Jorge Linares and his style, and I watched so many of his fights. At one point when 135 was kind of quiet, he was actually one of my favorites to watch. Back years ago. Back before Mikey Garcia and the Lomachenkos of the world and Haney's and all these guys. Linares was fun to watch years ago. He has a couple of losses from early in his career. Antonio DeMarco, who I was just speaking on, was one of them. But he's 38 years old, and we know him from having speed, having power, He gave Luke Campbell one of his earliest losses, in their fight. And he was always a top guy, and he's going to be fighting a southpaw and Jack Catterall, who's still undefeated. Well, he's not undefeated, technically. On paper, he is. I don't think he lost to Josh Taylor. All right, but with all of that, he's a southpaw, great timing, great speed himself, decent pop, not a puncher, but he has pop. He has respectable power. And he's younger. He's fresh. He's 30 years old. He's coming off, the Josh Taylor fight. He's coming off of another fight with Foley, which was a decent performance against another southpaw. And, this is like a crossroads fight for, it's like Linares has to win this fight. If he loses here and if he gets stopped again, I think it's time to hang it up. Because he's coming off of 3 losses. And one of those losses, he was stopped in a fight that I thought he was winning up until the point he got stopped. And most of the time in the 8 losses that Linares has on his records, 6 of those 8 losses, he was stopped. Okay? He never had the greatest chin. And he stopped. This fight is going to be at 140. Linares, I'm still unsure what he's able to do at 140. And I know size-wise, they're roughly around the same size as far as height and reach and stuff like that. But Catterall has been fighting at the division for some time now. And I don't think Catterall has always consistently fought the best. But having that performance against Josh Taylor, who was undefeated at that time, says a lot. It says a lot, at this stage. And Linares has shown to be good against southpaws. Again, the win against Luke Campbell, he dropped Luke in that fight. He was able to drop Lomachenko in those fights. Those are his last 2 southpaw fights. So even though he lost to Loma, he was able to drop him and rock him a couple of times in that fight. He hit him he landed a couple of good shots against Loma, even though he lost. But I think for Jack to lose this fight, he would have to really completely underestimate Jorge Linares. If he's coming in at his best and prepared to go to war, if he's taking this fight extremely serious, if he's taking this fight like he did against Josh Taylor, he should be able to win without much of a problem. Especially on points. He should be able to, at bare minimum, to win this pretty clear on points. And I think he is even capable of possibly hurting Jorge Linares. But if he's going into this fight where I just want to knock Linares out and dog him out, if he's coming in with that approach, he might get caught with something. Linares is still powerful. I know he's at 140. I know he's 38, but he still has speed. He still has pop. He still has power. Great left hook. Great timing on the left hook, especially fighting southpaws. He's gonna counter the jab with that hook. He's gonna go into an exchange with him. You gotta watch the short right hand. And he's always dangerous. The longer he's in the fight, he's always dangerous. He's always dangerous. So even though he's always been kind of chinny, you can't sleep on the guy. And I think he still has a puncher's chance. All right? He still has a puncher's chance. But outside of that, stylistically, I give it to Catterall. Freshness, I give it to Catterall. Performances in recent years, I give it to Catterall. Style-wise, everything, I give it to Catterall. You know, Catterall should win this fight. You know, and if he's smart and he plays it right and he waits to connect with the right shot, I think he could hurt and get Jorge Linares out of there. All right, but if he thinks he's going to go in this fight and just walk through him, he can get caught with a good shot. You know? So I have Jack winning the fight. All right, I think Jack is going to win the fight. Again, another fight where Jack is not the biggest power. You know, I know he jobbed Josh Taylor, but he doesn't have the biggest power. He's not a puncher. I think he has respectable power, but I wouldn't call him a puncher. All right, so I think he should win the fight. How he wins it, just like the other fight, I really don't know. You know, he can coast to a win, outscore him from the outside, use that jab, connect with the left hand from time to time, mix it up at time, but be smart. Just be careful. Don't get like Devin Haney, where you're exchanging in the pocket and you get caught with a right hand. Got to be careful. This guy can still punch. But if he plays it smart, he should win. When it comes to distance in the fight and the longer the fight goes, you know, I've seen Jorge Linares lose in different ways. I've seen him get blitzed early, and I think the worst kind of, I still think, and I forgot this point, I still think this kind of fight, when he's fighting against another boxer, I think this is where Jorge Linares thrives. Okay, I think he's better off fighting this kind of fight as opposed to a fight where he's fighting against a brawler or a really aggressive puncher. You know what I mean? Any aggressive come forward fighter is kind of shaky with him, you know. But as far as boxing matches like this with like Loma or Luke Campbell or, you know, Devin Haney, those are the fights that I think he fares well in. You know what I mean? Because even if he's getting outboxed, he can always land a good shot and hurt his opponents. You know, instead of, I suppose, of him fighting a durable guy that's gonna blitz him. You know, so the chess matches is more of his type of style. I see him thriving there, and that's why I give him. You know, I think he's losing the fight, but as far as getting stopped or being dominated, I think he still has a better chance him winning this type of fight as opposed to winning a fight against like a Sabrio Matias who's just gonna blow him away. All right. So I've seen him lose early because he got blitzed, but I've seen him lose late and get stopped against like Antonio DeMarco or Zar Abdullayev, where he's winning the fight on the cards, but then he gets burnt out, gets caught with a good shot, and then these guys get him out of there. You know what I mean? Late. So again, if Jack Catterall decides at some point in this fight that he wants to be more aggressive, he has to be a little cautious because he could just get caught. But there's a chance that he's probably going to want to get the stoppage here and make a statement. All right, especially because he's looking for the winner of Haney and Rougarou. All right, Regis program. All right, so look, those are the two main fights. Again, Dan Aziz, Joshua Buatsi is off. I was gonna do a breakdown for that, but I'm not now. All right, but let me know what you think in the comments. I got Jack Catterall winning. I mean, he's the favorite. I got Alexis Rocha's winning too. I think the Jack Catterall fight, he wins as long as he doesn't get caught. You know, I still give Jorge Linares a puncher's chance, but you know, outside of that, I don't see it happening. You know, in the same way Alexis Rocha, I think that fight, I think Alexis wins whatever way he wants to win. All right. Anyway, subscribe to the channel. Okay. Leave comments, smash the thumbs up, And if I can get on Saturday, I will get on. But I'll let you guys know. And be on the lookout for me for more videos. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.